Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining ADEA today to talk about the ADEA Fee Assistance Program. My name is Emily Reinberger, and I am joined by my colleagues Shantae James and Leslie Payne, who work with me at the American Dental Education Association. And today we're going to talk about the ADEA Fee Assistance Program. So this session is being recorded and it is going to be interactive with a few polls. And we appreciate your engagement as we share the information about our fee assistance program. So let's get started. I'd love to learn a little bit about who is here so that we can make sure to answer all of your questions. All right. So first question is, tell me a little bit about you. What time zone are you all in? Who is at lunchtime? Who still has breakfast beverages ready to go? We've got almost everyone. All right, so thank you all for joining. We've got a lot of people from Eastern Time Zone, which is where ADEA is located here. Thank you so much for joining us. We are excited to chat with you and talk about the fee assistance program. The next question I have for you is, are you going to be applying to FAP this year? Great responses. Thank you so much. All right. So the majority of you are going to be applying in 2025. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. For those of you who aren't sure if you're eligible, we'll absolutely cover that today. For those who are interested in applying in another year, I'm glad you're here, but I'm going to recommend that you come back next year and join us in case things are a little bit different. All right. One more question for you, and then we're going to give you all the information. This is, what are you hoping to learn about today? What is the thing or the things that you are most interested in learning about? There's a lot of questions. All right, there are some people still thinking. Is anybody answering all of them? Yes, I just want to know them all. All right, so let's look at what you're here to learn. It looks like the majority of you are really interested in the timing. When do you want to apply and when are you going to get a decision? And we'll spend a lot of time on that as it's a little bit different than it has been in the past. Eligibility. Do I qualify? What information do I need to submit the application? And just generally about FAP. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen today and I'm going to share with you the information, the websites where you can get the information so that you have access to this information directly, not just through a PowerPoint. So the ADEA FAP program is a fee waiver program that helps eligible individuals who need financial support for their dental school application. Eligible applicants who are approved receive a fee waiver for 3 dental school applications in ADEA. And this program is offered directly by ADEA, the American Dental Education Association. All right, here's our webpage here. So my colleagues are going to put the link in the chat so you can follow along and we can go through all of this information, and then you can take this information home with you and share it with your support systems. So we do have a fee assistance page on the ADEA Go Dental website. If you are applying to ADEA-ADSAS this year, you want to check out all that ADEA Go Dental has to offer, including this fee assistance page. You'll see here that the first thing I come across is the timing for the fee assistance application. The application for FAP will open on April 16th, 2025. And applicants should submit by June 1st of 2025. Approved applicants will have 30 days, if approved, to use the FAP waiver. The website here has a really neat timeline for those of you who want a quick snapshot that you can print out and put on your wall about when you're applying for FAP. So in 2025, the application opens on our website on April 16th and closes on June 1st. ADEA-ADSAS opens on May 13th and opens for submission on June 3rd. The earlier timeline means that your application to the fee assistance program will likely be submitted before you open your ADEA-ADSAS application, but opening an ADSAS application by June 1st is critical for FAP applicants. On our main page, we also have an FAP quick guide. This includes the chronological steps that you'll need to take in order to be a successful applicant. So one of the things we'll do today is talk about eligibility, and this is the first piece about FAP, is determining if you are eligible to apply, and then preparing, collecting all of the documentation that will be required as part of your application. The application will open on April 16th, and you'll be able to submit your application online and provide all of your documents electronically. The next step in the process is to apply to ADEA-ADSAS. Create an account prior to June 1st and start the application process. The next step is waiting for a decision. The decisions will be sent on June 13th, so that you have some time to then submit your your ADEA-ADSAS application. Submitting your application is the last step of the FAP application process, and then you'll continue with your ADEA-ADSAS application. On our ADEA FAP page in Go Dental, we have our Help Center. The Help Center is this green button, and I encourage everybody who's applying to FAP to utilize to bookmark this. This is where all of the detailed instructions are included. So if you have any question about FAP, about eligibility, this is the place that you'll go. So let's look at the Help Center. There are 3 different categories that we have information for you. The first is general information. The second is instructions. And then we have 2 FAPs. One is all about finances. What information do you need? What type of documentation do you need? And then we have general frequently asked questions. So you'll notice in the program dates, this is what we just went over. I'm going to go over it again since timing was what a lot of you are here to learn about. The FAP application opens April 16th. It is a first come, first serve service. So we encourage you to submit your application early, but applications will be due by June 1st. The ADEA-ADSAS application opens May 13th, and we need all FAP applicants to have an ADEA-ADSAS application started by June 1st. Decisions for FAP will all be sent electronically on June 13th, and then approved applicants will have 30 days until July 13th to submit 3 designations in ADEA ADSAS in order to use the fee assistance waiver. Other pieces under the general FAP information include a checklist before applying, benefits, and what's new in 2025. Let's check out a couple. First is eligibility. In order to be eligible for fee assistance, applicants and their relevant family members must have an adjusted gross income at or below 300% of the 2024 U.S. poverty guidelines. And financial information is used to determine this. There is a table that gives you information based on how many people are in your household, and our guideline, which is 300% of the poverty guideline. Financial documentation, it includes U.S. tax documents, FAFSA award notification, and other earnings information. And U.S. tax documentation is required as proof of eligibility. Also in the general information is information about the dent pin. The dent pin is a personal and unique identifier that is provided by the American Dental Association and is the identifier required for the FAP application. If you have already taken the DAT, you likely have your dent pin, but if not, you can get your dent pin for free by visiting the American Dental Association website. The FAP benefits are 3 ADEA ADSAS designations. For FAP applicants who are approved, that equals $494. And applicants who are approved must submit the ADEA ADSAS application for 3 dental schools at one time. There's a lot more information here in the general information, but let's skip over to the instructions. The first question is, where will the application be? How can I apply? The application will go live on the FAP page, which is on Go Dental. I toggle back, you'll see that it is a blue button called Start Your Application, and that will be live on April 16th. The electronic application will be available to submit. Financial documentation is a really critical piece of the ADEA ADSAS FAP application. Not only do applicants have to prove their eligibility, they have to provide documentation of proof. Relevant documentation will be different for each individual, but they typically include U.S. tax forms, which is the IRS 1040 federal tax form. This would be submitted for you yourself as an applicant if you have earnings and filed for 2024, a spouse if you are married, and a parent or guardian if you are listed as a dependent. A W-2 or a 1099 form is also something that applicants will provide that is a tax statement about the employment or contractor work performed in 2024. Again, for both the applicant and spouse and or guardians, if relevant. If you were enrolled in school in the 24-25 academic year, you will be asked to provide a copy of your FAFSA award notification. If you're not enrolled in school in 24-25, you must submit an explanation in the application. Then there are additional documentation that may be relevant to you, additional earnings like Social Security or veterans benefits, or other documentation about any earnings in 2024. As you collect this information, know that we will collect it in one file. meaning you'll take all of your documents and create one PDF to upload in your FAP application. You must submit at least one set of U.S. tax documents in order to prove your eligibility. The technical requirements will detail that you need one file with a file size limit of 100 MBs, and there is a link if you need to combine your PDFs into one file in order for it to be accessible on FAP. If you've applied to FAP in the past, you can apply to FAP this cycle once per cycle. All information is required to be new and submitted again for the 2025 year. Applicants who are eligible and approved for fee assistance will receive a notification on June 13th. And in the instructions here, there are steps on how to use the fee assistance waiver. Applicants will have 30 days until July 13th to use the waiver and must submit the application for 3 designations. Now, here's a tip. ADEA-ADSAS application must be submitted after the FAP notification. So that means you must receive your FAP award notification before submitting any designations to ADEA-ADSAS. So these are the first 3 designations in ADEA-ADSAS totaling $494. All FAP applications are final when submitted. So as you're preparing to apply, it is recommended that you review the instructions to make sure you have all of the information needed in that one file to upload, as your application cannot be updated. All right. Now, we often get questions about individual and unique circumstances. And while we can't answer all of them here, there are some general FAQs for your financial documentation that you can search in the Help Center. So, what financial documentation do I need to provide? We talked about the tax documentation, your FAFSA award notification, and other earnings that must be combined into one file. The FAP application will ask for one total number called the adjusted gross income as part of the data collected in the FAP application. This is one number from the tax documentation that you are submitting. If you are submitting just one for yourself, it would just be the number on your tax documents. But if you are listed as a dependent on guardians or your parents' tax return, it would be theirs plus yours. Some other notes to indicate is that ADEA-ADSAS FAP does not accept tax transcripts. It has to be the 1040 tax return, W-2 or 1099. And that FAFSA award notification must include specific information for you to provide as part of your application. Only U.S. tax documentation is accepted as proof of eligibility. So if your parents live outside the United States, you would not provide their information. And there's a question in the application about how many people live in your household. And so the number of people in the household includes all people living in the house, whether or not they are claimed on taxes. There's a lot more information here in the financial FAQs that we would encourage you to look through before you submit your application on April 16th. Now, there are also general FAQs that are important for you to look at as well. Now, let's start with what are the top 3 things I need to know? And we'll talk about this a lot and repeat it. One is that all documentation is submitted together. So again, collect all of your documents and put it into one PDF. If the application is incomplete, it will not be approved. The second really important thing to know is that you have to wait for the FAP approval notification before submitting any designations in ADEA-ADSAS. So that means we'll be asking you to create your ADSAS account and start working on it, but hold off on submitting your application until you receive notification from FAP. And 3, if you are approved for an FAP waiver, submit 3 designations together. FAP won't work if you only submit 1. If you do just submit one waiver, one designation that first time, you only will receive a fee waiver for that one school, not for subsequent schools. So you do have to submit all 3 at one time. The application cannot be extended or withdrawn. Excuse me. Your application cannot be extended, but it can be withdrawn. If you do have questions or would like to withdraw your application, we can be contacted by an email address. On the other hand, the application can be saved. Once it opens on April 16th, you can save your in-progress application as you collect the information prior to submission. It shouldn't take you very long to complete the application. The most challenging part is collecting all of the documentation and making sure that you're providing everything that you need. Again, that's something you can start now before the application opens on April 16th. Once you've completed the ADEA FAP application and you're waiting for your notification, I encourage you to go look at the ADEA-ADSAS instructions in preparation for your application to dental school. There are pages on Go Dental as well as the Help Center for ADEA-ADSAS to start putting your information together for the application. This is a really critical piece. What happens if your FAP application is incomplete or your dent pin is incorrect? ADEA uses both the documentation and the dent pin to review and finalize your application and as information for approval. If your application is incomplete or your dent pin is incorrect, you cannot be approved for FAP. So be sure to submit a complete application and make sure that your dent pin will match what is in the ADEA-ADSAS application. All right, this is a lot of great information. Hopefully you have the links in order to go back and review that information. But I'd like to see how many of you have the right dates. So, quick quiz for you. What are the dates that the FAP application is open? We have almost 100% of individuals, and you all have been listening. I really appreciate it. 89% of you got this correct. The application opens on April 16th and closes on June 1st. Again, this is a first come, first serve service. So I would encourage you on April 16th to start your application and not wait for June 1st. All right, I know that the chat has been active and we are going to ensure that we have time for questions. So Ms. Payne, Ms. James, thank you for monitoring the chat. Are there questions that we could answer for the benefit of the group?
Sure. Thank you all, first of all, again for attending. We really appreciate you being here. I hope that you, or we hope that you have received all of the necessary information to submit a successful ADEA FAP application. Um, we do have questions in the chat. They're coming through kind of quickly. So I'm just going to go through. Let's see, they're just slowing down. Okay, so so is there any way to preview the application? Not sure what application you're speaking of. Are you speaking of the FP application or are you speaking of the ADSAS application? And that's for RAISA. Not really sure, but if you are speaking of the FAP application, that application will become available on April 16th. You are not unfortunately able to preview prior to that date. When the application becomes available, you will have access to it up through June 1st. Is the FAP application going to open April 16th every year, or does it? Yeah. So I will say right now, yes, the application will be open the day after tax day. So the tax deadline date is April 15th. So if the April 16th falls on a Monday through Friday, it will be that date. If it's not on that particular day of the week, then we will go the following business day. We will open the following business day. So is there any contact information we can reach out to while applying and have a question? Yes, you can go to our help center, and if you don't find the information there, you can always contact FAP ADSAS at ADEA.org. Send an email and we will answer your questions within 2 business days.
Share my screen one more time here because our contact information is on one of these sites. So I'll leave
Yes.
that up while you continue with FAQ.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. So if you are a dependent, do you use your income for your, it says, if you are independent, do you use your income or your family income? Lyric, if you are considered independent, you file your own taxes and you are not dependent upon your parent or anyone else, you will submit only your documentation. Now, if you are married or with a spouse, you will have to submit income tax returns for both you and your spouse. But if you are considered independent, you will only need to submit documentation for yourself. All right. Why was the FAP notification date changed? It feels like this puts applicant at a disadvantage. Now they either have to choose between submitting as early as possible and paying with FAP or waiting till June 13th. So yes, the application date was changed because applicants are eager to submit early. Another thing is we changed that date to accommodate applicants so they would not have to wait for the ADSAS application to open in May, where it was requiring applicants to create an account by May 13th and also, well, not required, but you weren't able to create an account until May 13th, and you also had to have an ADSAS ID number. This will allow you to contact ADA immediately. You can get your dent pin and you can apply to FAP early so that you can get all of your documentation and things ready for ADSAS to submit on the 13th. The date was made earlier to accommodate more applicants. So I'm sorry, I hope I answered some of your questions, or most of it. Household income. For household income, if I live with someone, do I need to have their information? Well, even though I'm dependent. Okay. As far as household income, this is based on tax returns and the U.S. poverty guidelines. So if you are considered independent and no one else can claim you, then you will not need to submit whoever you're living with tax returns or tax information, only if they can claim you on their taxes or if basically, if they can claim you. If you're not considered dependent, then we will only need your information. Okay, so as an independent, I'll submit 2024 tax returns, but I graduated in 2023. So do I need to submit my last FAFSA award letter from 2022-23 and a reason for myself explaining why, or from FAFSA office from the school I graduated from? Okay, so Katie, as an independent person, and you said you graduated independent, okay? You have your 24 tax returns, and you said that you graduated in 23, so you don't have a FAFSA. In that case, you just say that you graduated in the comment section of the application and that you did not receive FAFSA for 2024. Yeah, so that's basically it for that. So you just submit your 2024 tax returns and write a letter, or not write a letter, comment in the application that you graduated in 23. Okay. If I did not work in 2024, would I submit an older tax document? I am independent, non-married. Okay, Danielle, if you did not work in 2024, you would have to show some source of income. I'm not really sure. Did you attend school? And if you're not able to produce anything, you would just write that in the comment section of the FAP application. What information do we need to prove? Members. Okay, so we only have 30 days to submit the application. What if you are not going to have a DAT score until mid-July and we can't submit the application until having DAT score? Okay, so as far as FAP is concerned, if you are approved for a ADEA FAP on June 13th, you will have until July 13th to submit your ADEA application. Okay, if it's after that date, then you will lose your fee assistance approval. So if you are approved on June 13th, you must submit your ADEA application by July 13th in order to qualify, or not to qualify, in order to receive the fee assistance. As far as DAT scores, this is an ADESAS application question, but I'm going to just say this, that you do not have to have your DAT score at the time of submission of your ADEA application. Okay, so even if you submit your application for FAP and get approved and all, and we send you notification, you're still able to submit your ADEA application by July 13th because you will not have to have had your DAT in order to submit. You can always get your DAT information once you submit your ADEA application. So I hope I've answered. Okay. Do we need to submit all W-2s or just one? I had more than one job in 2024. Your tax return should show all employment for a previous year. Okay, so if you have wages shown on line one of I think it's line one, not really sure, of your tax return, when the wages that are shown will have to have W-2s to accommodate those. Because if we receive your 1040 tax return and it shows, let's say, $24,000 in wages earned, and you submit a W-2 for $12,000, we want to know where the other W-2 is. It's like missing something. So I would encourage you to submit all W-2s that pertain to your 1040 tax return. We only review one time. So once we receive your application along with your documentation, the review is done once. Okay, we don't go back and make modifications. So either you submit everything at one time, or you kind of, you're not you're disqualified.
Leslie, you have a few
Sure.
questions about, we have a few questions about, do you know what time the FAP application will open?
Okay, I didn't see that. Okay, well, thank you, Shantae. As far as the application opening, the ADEA Access FAP application will be available as of midnight on the 16th. Midnight on the 16th, 12 a.m. So yes, as soon as 12 o'clock strikes, you will be able to go in and complete your FAP application. Let's see. Apply for FAP. Okay, so this is kind of a good question. If I were to apply for FAP and wait until June 13th for my acceptance of FAP, I'm assuming, am I able to submit my application for other schools than the 3 schools from the FAP application, or do I hold off all dental school applications? Great question, Jeremy. So if you apply for FAP and you're waiting for a decision from FAP, but you're so anxious to get your application submitted for some other schools, you know that if you are awarded FAP, you will get your first 3 dental school designations. So that means that if you submit your application for ADEA prior to receiving a decision from FAP, you will lose your fee assistance. You're not able to submit any of the application. You're not able to click the submit button for the ADEA application until you receive a decision from FAP. And so to answer your question, no, you're not able to apply to any other schools prior to receiving a decision from FAP. You will have to wait for a decision before you can submit your ADEA application. Okay. Time of the application of a complete with DAT score. Okay, sure, Natalie. What I said was about DAT scores. I said that if you are approved for FAP, you are able to submit your ADEA application on starting June 13th, without having a DAT score. Okay, you can always get your DAT score later after submitting your ADEA application. You do not have to have that at the time of submitting your ADEA application. Why is it that we only have 30 days to submit? Okay, Martina, you only have 30 days. Well, this is actually great this year. Prior to this coming cycle, which will start in April, on April 16th, we only gave applicants 14 days. So they had 2 weeks to submit after being approved. Now we've given an extra 2 weeks, but now we give 4 weeks to submit the application. So this is like a plus. And the reason being that you only have 30 days to submit is that this application service is on a first come first served basis. And we want to make sure that all who qualify for FAP receives it. And in order for you to receive the fee assistance, you have to submit your ADEA application. If we just allow applicants to hold on and wait until December, October, November, December to submit, and then let's say you decided not to apply. You've been approved for ADEA FAP, and you've been given the 30 days, but after the 30 days, coming up on that 30 days, you say, you know what, I'm not really ready right now. I've changed my mind. I'm just going to wait till later on. And let's say you just don't submit your ADEA application. That's money that's sitting that someone else could have used. So that's why we put a deadline on the submission of the ADEA application. We want to make sure that everyone who deserves it gets it. I was approved last year for the fee assistance, but unfortunately I didn't apply last cycle. Can I still submit an application this year? Yes. If you were approved last year but didn't submit your ADEA application, you can apply again this year. You're given more time this year, so you should be able to hopefully submit within those 30 days. But yes, you are able to submit an application again for FAP.
Leslie, there's a question asking, can you review your application before submitting it?
Yes. Can you review which application? The
Your
FAP application?
yes. Mhm.
Yes. The application will allow you to go in. You can complete the application and not submit. Prior to submitting, you're able to review it to see all of the answers that you completed, all of the documents that you've submitted. And yes, so your question, yes, you're able to review before submitting. Let's go in here. All right.
Leslie, are
Is there a chance? Oh,
that
go
would
ahead.
be most helpful? One or two
I'm
more?
sorry.
We could do one or two more
Okay,
questions.
okay. Let's see. Okay, this is a great question from Aurelie. After applying to the 3-wave schools, given that we were awarded FAP, can we apply to other schools? And the answer is yes. And thank you all attendees for kind of helping out with answering these questions because some of them have been answered. But to answer your question, yes, once you submit the first 3 designations, you can always come back and add additional designations, but you will have to pay for those. But yes, you are able to add additional schools to your application once you've submitted the 3 for FAP. Okay, this one here, it says, should we only submit with 3 schools when initially submitting our ADEA application and add additional schools? That's almost like the same question. No, you do not have to submit those first 3 and then add the others on. You can add the first 3 schools, right? And all other schools that you want to apply to. But FAP will only cover the first 3. So you can add additional designations to that application prior to submitting. Yes. Is there a chance we will hear back about our FAP application before June 13th or do all notifications? Yes. Well, no, I do apologize. There is not a chance at all that you will hear from us prior to June 13th. The decision date is June 13th, and that's for all applicants, whether you are approved or denied. You will receive a decision on June 13th.
Thank you, Leslie, for going through the questions. One other resource that we're going to share, this was from a pre-health advisor on the call, so thank you for this. I'm going to put it in the chat. If you do have particular questions and you would like to discuss your situation, you can check the NAAHP website to see if you have pre-health advising. Or request access to a pre-health advisor to talk through your situation for the ADEA-ADSAS application. This was not a slideshow, so I am not going to send out any PowerPoint slides, but we will post the video on our website. The 2 links are where all of the information came from, and we'll put that in the chat as well. Again, please bookmark these. The information on how to contact FAP if there's a question is also available in there. Thank you all for coming. We really look forward to seeing your applications. Good luck with ADEA-ADSAS and have a great afternoon.